change what? We landed here. It's not the same sun, this is despair. One of us came up, none of us cared. They want to change up, life isn't fair. It's how we made, huh? Now you aware. It's why you fear us, this why you scared. They over the hilltop, I see them right there. They'll wait for the kill shot, they'll sit and they'll stare. If we got a real shot for us, it's up there. We're hopeless if we stop, they'll kill us right here. Living in death's den, run through the best winds, storming the front gates. Whatever gets us in, whatever gets us over, whatever helps us win, whatever we must do. Rescuing our kids, as long as they get through it, don't matter if we live. God chose to bless you, I'll take all that death gives. I'm into this war ends, in memory of dead friends, hope of a new way when all of this death ends. Who can we call on? It's me and it's all y'all. We're here by our lonesome, nobody to fall on. Flesh in the dirt, fire to ashes. Fate getting closer every moment that passes. Running away, no one is there, no one to save us, nothing to spare. How can I change what? We landed here. It's not the same sun, this is despair. One of us came up, none of us cared. They want to change up, life isn't fair. It's how we made, huh? Now you aware. It's why you fear us, this why you scared. Show me a safe place, does it exist? It must be a wasteland where nobody lives, that nobody knows of, where nobody's been. Where we at is warfare every time you can get. What you can't get is real love or fucking respect. Set up for failure, a life of neglect. If none of us stand up, we'll live with regrets. If we rise, we might die, I call that a good death. What would I live for if I am oppressed? How can I raise up with the world on my chest? Who's gonna save us if you and I rest? They shoot us in cold blood when under arrest. Lock us in cold cells, consider it home now. Cut off from emotion, our feelings are stone now. Our buildings are blown out, the madness is so loud. It's dark and there's no sound, we gotta go now. Running away, no one is there, no one to save us, nothing to spare. How can I change what? We landed here. It's not the same sun, this is despair. One of us came up, none of us cared. They want to change up, life isn't fair. It's how we made, huh? Now you aware. It's why you fear us, this why you scared. The illness is prevalent, natives malevolent. Hunger, starvation now, no hope for a heaven sent. Kiss the babies goodbye, say I love you to wives. Grab your weapons, get your steps in, we gon' ride when it rise. The sun mean what when it's blinding your eyes? Put the wind to your back, leave them facing the sky. Put the pain in the dirt, raise your bloody fist high. Use your brain, do the work, strategize and survive. The rush of the dust up, the thrill of the gun buzz. The satisfaction of our reaction when there's no one to help us. The spoils of war, the hunger for more. The passion of how we smashing what we hate through the floor. The rage, the loneliness of dead on the page. To cleanse this land, gotta burn more than just sage. Crush the cage, body and soul unafraid. Kill them all and set them ablaze. No running away, no one is there, no one to save us, nothing to spare. How can I change what? We landed here. It's not the same sun, this is despair. One of us came up, none of us cared. They want to change up, life isn't fair. It's how we made, huh? Now you aware. It's why you fear us, this why you scared. Hanging from a thread till you dead, cause your partner put a price on your head. Cause your chick was laying up in his bed, she getting details, spilling every word that you said. She working retail, thirsty bitch just trying to get ahead. If history tell us anything, y'all both end up dead. It's just a street tale, a fable, some shit someone said. Sit at the table and hope there's more to offer than bread. Pulled out the cradle, first steps you getting chased by a fed. No head starts, just body parts and lead sparks. Old religion, brand new hate and weak hearts. Oligarchs, krakens, dragons, you see sharks. Imagine you could manage to maneuver the deep part. You a savage, you can have it, just show all your teeth sharp. If you could grab it, you could stab it, just aim for the bleeding heart. The ones that show compassion, the soldier that seeks art. Does the artist that wage war take over or take part? taking a knee, thinking no one faithful is me. I'm good people in bad lands, no evil live within me. I mind mine, I survive, find this lands for the free. If I'm mistaken, I'm forsaken, no one rescuing me. Residual effects, stray bullets through familiar necks. For any number of infractions that I deem disrespect. Your beliefs, you deserve better, but we both in the shit. You just haven't come to grips with it yet. Fight or flight, and they ain't really nowhere to go. If your back is against the wall and you ain't throwing no blows, you gon' crumble in the rubble, become blood in the snow. If you a victim, they collect them, grab the body and go. Dig them and ditch them, total disregard for the soul. Gas them and lit them, watch the flesh burn in the glow. Where we live and catch a shiver, this a hell you don't know. Your best hope is that your dying ain't slow, or your dying's a show. Where we at, it's every man for his own. A bloody backdrop, where killers just zone and slice flesh to the bone. Masked and gloved up front of your home. A flash of gun, but the side of your dome. Fresh blood from a stone, dents in your sense. Kick your fucking ball through the fence, dare you to say something. No sense in sitting around in suspense. Find out what's next, open your fucking mouth, disrespect. See the extent of how my life is intense. She beautiful and oppressed in a permanent summer dress. She a servant and still she blessed. Children cradled against her breast, whispering prayers, wishing their souls the best, knowing that they forgotten, not forgetting they're blessed. The bloodiest red lights, just piles of dead life. Something must be broken, the glyphs wasn't read right. You think them Bible papers will shed light? Yeah, right. Burn after reading, tell the preacher I'm leaving. What is poppin', my people? Welcome to Shy L Reacts. I am your host, Shy L. You can call me Shy. Salute to you for being here a little later than usual on a Monday evening. Salutes, why not? It is what it is. Appreciate y'all being here. What is poppin', y'all? Hope everybody's having a great night. We got a couple of things to get into. Salutes to y'all. Hope everybody had a great weekend. Hope everybody had a money start to the week. Salutes to salutes to y'all. All right, salutes and happy birthday to my brother Oso. Salutes to him. Celebrated his birthday over the weekend. It's a good time. And salutes to y'all for being here, man. We're gonna get into the Chinese-Mexican cartel connection today. All right, let me get to the chat real quick. Again, we late night. We're gonna try to be focused and get through the content. Let's see what's happening here. It's a million degrees over here. I can imagine how y'all been feeling all this time on the West Coast or in the desert or in Texas with this crazy heat, these crazy heat waves. But it was a hot one for Chicago today. That's for sure. All right, salute Jonathan Pantoja on the check-in. Appreciate you, sir. Thank you for being here. Shout out Eddie Jimenez, Chucky Chingon, Yael, Oso, JFL. I appreciate you. That's about it for now, man. Salutes. Hit the like button. Make the math make sense. 22 concurrent viewers, 9 likes. All right, let's get this math popping and let's get into it. I've been... I ran into, I don't know if anybody tried to hit me to this dude before, but a dude named, shout out Manalea on the check-in. A dude named, let me see, what's his name? He's what's it called? He's a journalist. His name is Jorge Ventura. I don't know if any of y'all hit me to him before. But he's been on the Julian Dory podcast recently. And he has some stuff to say about this. I know we've been running into the connection of China and Mexico since the origins of the cartel, right? And the origins of these routes throughout Prohibition and all of this stuff, and how
the Chinese were here to build railroads, and they got into the business over here, you know. So that connection's been, you know, decades in the making, upon decades in the making. And it seems to be getting a little crazier now. We in a society that consider themselves woke, right? So it's like a lot of people have gotten to the point in America where they just feel like there shouldn't be no rules and everything should be what it was, not realizing that's why people left places, right? Same thing with the taxes. People left for the taxation without representation and all of that good shit. And look what we're up to today, man. Getting taxed on everything. You pay for it, you buy it, you sell it, you hold it, you give it, you whatever. You burn it, you throw it away, whatever. You're getting taxed for it one way or the other. You know what I mean? It's just a non-stop thing. But you start hearing about these high-powered narcotics that are taking people's lives, and you start hearing the connections between these and that. You listen to Surviving El Chapo, and you see that a couple of Chinese men were snatched up with JP and the girls at one point. And they were here, I guess, trying to make, well, not here, but in Mexico, trying to make a deal over precursor for Method Man. All right, read between the lines. So you see these little connections, you know. But we live in this woke world where people feel like we shouldn't have a border, right? I believe that people need shelter. I believe that good people want to, you know, lead a new life in a new place, and I believe there's ways to go about it, and I think there's policies that could be changed to make these things different. But we've gotten to a point where are we inviting people from all over the world across our border without question and allowing these people to set up shop? What happens the day that you turn around and you realize you're surrounded? Huh? So like anything else, we know that rules have to be in place and things like that. So this guy's telling the story of how these Chinese people are getting here, what they're paying to get here, and you know how it works getting across the border. Let me see. Chucky Chingon said Jeezy Lee was a big one, busted with 3 different currencies. Yeah, we're gonna look into a couple of. I just looked up random news stories as well because they're scattered throughout. 2 years ago, 3 years ago, a year ago, 6 months ago. This is an ongoing situation here. I'm sure a lot of people know about it. Maybe I'm just ignorant to it, but I want to get into that. It's something that I've wanted to cover. So yeah, man, I want to go through. I'm gonna give y'all we're gonna go through some clips from the Jorge Ventura interview. Because it's a 3-hour interview, so we're not gonna do that, but we'll go through the clips, and then I'll give you the channel's link, so y'all can go check out the 3-hour joint whenever you want to. Chucky said, look them up. We'll do. But let's 4X on the check-in. Salutes to you. Appreciate you being here. Hit the like button, y'all. 26 viewers, 12 likes. It's feeling. I flipped this whole shit over, right? Salutes. All right, let me. Boom. Did I drop that? Now let me drop that link. This is the link for Julian Dorsey's page, or Julian Dory, and let's get it. Salutes to y'all. Hundreds up in the chat for y'all. I appreciate y'all being with me tonight. Let's hang out for a little bit. Why not? I remember reading about Usually's story. Mind blowing. Yeah, I'm gonna look into that.
You know, we're doing our thing, and boom, we start running into Chinese guys. And I was like, I couldn't believe it because I'm like, he's so right. Because at first I'm like, it's got to be rare. We're not going to see any Chinese. It's going to be like Venezuelans as always. Nope. In McAllen, running into Chinese to Chinese to Chinese. And
so they had to get off. They had to get away. Like, that's the one thing. If they're not going to kill, and I'm glad they didn't kill these people, by the way. Shout out for not doing that. But if they're not going to kill these people, what do they think they're going to do? Like, none of them are going to talk?
Well, I just think because they're undocumented, they're probably like they have nowhere to go, they have no resources and all that, and which they are, right? This is like, first of all, that lawsuit is like the first one I think of its kind, but it kind of shows the trend, right? Where like they get lured in, They're promised this one thing, and then all of a sudden they're held captive and they're working in brutal conditions. I don't know the conditions of New Mexico, but the ones that we're running in the desert. I mean, could you imagine living in a shack that's 110, no water? I mean, it's this all started, bro. Like I said, this was a Californian issue, and now it has spread. Southern Oregon has this issue too, because Southern Oregon, a lot of those guys work with the Northern Cali guys, and like I said, speaking to residents in. Now we have it in Oklahoma, New Mexico seeing it, and now the new state is Maine. And
Maine.
Yeah, so if you want to just type in, bro, Maine Chinese grows, you'll see it right now.
They're
but
picking the whitest states in the union.
But bro,
my
but
guy.
all that weed's coming to here, bro. It's coming to New Jersey. It's coming to New York because these guys are willing to pay top dollar for that Cali tree, and they're always going to buy it through an illegal. They will always go illegal. Why would you go illegal and pay even more on the taxes? So
yeah. That's the problem. That's the problem with a lot of the legalization.
So a lot of these
case.
illegal weed, bro, in Cali, they pick one guy as a driver, and then that guy's goal is to basically get all that marijuana and then transport it to New York without being stopped by the police.
All right, let's back this up for a minute
Yeah.
with something you said a little while ago.
This is just them getting into like there's an illegal trade we could get into in the U.S. That's one thing, but they're buying not these guys specifically, but the government or people of China are buying up farmland. They're buying up all kind of stuff in the United States. It's another thing we got to look into just to know the facts about it. But for the dollar, it's like these dudes that been getting their pockets laced for all these generations. They so thirsty for that dollar, they're willing to self-destruct and blow this whole shit up. Yeah, I said I live in Southern Oregon, and this is facts. So they out there, huh? They've breached the walls. You could tell when they came through massage parlors started popping up and getting raided like crazy. I don't doubt it. They setting up shop, and who knows what other intentions they have, and not just them. Not just them. It's like there's a collective groan across the world of the U.S. done. They looking at it. Listen, our politicians are so busy playing checkers with each other that the game of chess with the rest of the world has basically, they're looking at us like, we can knock you over. I'm also going to play a Nick Irving clip about that when we get through this. Salute to y'all. But like, not just them, who else is sending sleeper cells in here? One day you look up and that's it, we're flanked, right? Somebody called their shot. They decided to take their shot. Now these other cells that been out here had another thing planned that, we got to take advantage of this. You know what I mean? They jumping too. They don't have to be co-conspirators, but they're flooding across the border. The cartel's getting rich off of it. Regular people are being unalived at mass grave rates, I'm sure, over it.
Because I want to get to the root core of this. So you were saying that in exchange for some of the products to put together fentanyl, that's why the cartels are making a deal with the Chinese. So there was this guy, Ben Westhoff, who wrote a book called Fentanyl Inc. You ever read that?
No, but I have heard of it. I heard
right.
it.
So he was on Joe Rogan in like 2019. It was a great conversation. Essentially, this guy was like a pop culture reporter. Like he wasn't reporting on drugs or anything like that. I forget what it was, but he was assigned some story on something maybe in the music industry, and somewhere along the way, one of the people he interviewed made some offhand comment about fentanyl or whatever. Long story short, this guy starts asking him about it, learns more about it, starts looking into it himself. Can't believe what's going on here. Like, holy shit, like this is exploding. And ends up writing this whole book on it. And as a part of that book, Savage, this dude literally went alone to China by himself as an undercover agent and just wanted to see how easy it was to get shit. And it was a joke. He walked out there with whatever he wanted. I can't remember, he had to ship it home or whatever, but
it
like,
was easy, yeah.
Easy. So some of when you say that, I'm like, wouldn't it be easy for the cartels if this guy's getting it? Maybe it's more complicated. It's got to be more complicated than that. But in my head, I'm like,
probably huge amounts.
But still, like, I feel like there's got to be an easier way. That said, at the same time, the contra argument there is that, given some Chinese nationals or internationals coming in as immigrants, some weed fields is a small price to pay.
And what was crazy, man, is when we were doing the marijuana reporting, I've been covering the border. I was covering the border before marijuana. That's how I stumbled on it. But we weren't hit with that Chinese surge yet.
Yeah.
And we were putting out a lot of this reporting in 22. In the Oklahoma one, we did it early 23. But then early last year, I get a call from a Texas DPS, which is a Texas state trooper who works on the border under Operation Lone Star, it's called. So he calls
Operation Lone Star.
Yeah, so Operation Lone Star is Governor Greg Abbott's basically him putting the state police on the border, saying, "Help these guys out, stop fencing out, stop criminals, get on it." So I get a call from a Texas DPS agent around. This is, I would say, January, March 2023.
Shout out Man Ali. They said the Democrats work for the Chinese, but bro, it's not a partisan issue as far as I'm concerned. That's just what people run with, one side or the other. To me, the one side is jerking off the other, while everybody else is getting them through the back door. Pause. No pun intended. You know what I'm saying? Everybody else doing what they want to do while these jerk-offs is arguing about pop culture. That's all it is. It's a publicity stunt. Tupac could have been the president. Why? Because if Kanye could think he could run, by this time Pac would have gained enough influence that might have worked. Why? Because it's just a publicity contest now. It's bullshit. Who can say the slickest shit on TV? Who cares? But the Chinese are like, no, we don't need to work with none of y'all. We'll work with the Mexican government, we'll work with the Mexican government or the Mexican cartels, and we'll get in where we fit in, because they're working with the Mexican government too, ain't they? They big trouble in Little China. They're gonna be making the fake sneakers across the border. Is this story? I don't know, Jonathan. I don't know which story you're talking about. This story or the Gigi Ling or whatever. Salute Peter Saj on the check-in. Appreciate you, sir. Facts, you can get stuff on DHgate, Alibaba. Absolutely. Zen Liye, the one who got busted with millions in Mexico City, Jonathan. Okay. Sent you a link where some CIA investigator talks about how China's using TikTok and the internet to put malware and how they can one day just mess this country up. Boom, we're going to get to that when we get to the Nick Irving stuff. Salutes Vernon Himes on the check-in. I appreciate you, sir. Velez said politicians work with anyone that gets them what they want, period. Even if that means the devil himself. I agree, Shaw. They fill in each other's pockets while we get stuck paying the bills. It's just what it is. We hold up the table. Here's for meth. Salutes.
And he goes, "Hey, Jorge, I'm working here in the Rio Grande Valley, which is the RGV sector." And he goes, "Hey, man, for the first time ever, we're getting Chinese in South Texas." And I'm like, interesting. He's like, but it's not just the fact that we're getting Chinese. He says, we're looking at our numbers. He says, we have a 900% explosion in Chinese national now apprehensions in,
That's
in
crazy,
Rio Grande.
bro. 900% explosion. That means one day to the next, an influx. Shout out JoJo AZ. Salute, Shai. Salutes to you. An influx.
Valley, Texas. So I said, he's like, I think you should get apprehensions.
And
he says we have.
That means so many more people, and they're committing crimes. You know what I'm saying? They're getting apprehended.
A 900% explosion in Chinese national now apprehensions in Rio Grande Valley, Texas. So I said, he's like, I think you should get down here if you can. So we get down to around McAllen, Texas. Like I said, early 2023. And we look at the numbers, and we saw that like I think in all of last year, Texas got like maybe 10 Chinese, the whole year, and then now we're seeing that in 1 month they got like 1,100, and it was like kind of
from 10 to 1,100 in 30 days. 10 to 1,100. That's crazy.
Consistent. So that's where the guy came in. Like I said, we're seeing a 900% spike. So we hit the ground with him, and we're doing our thing, and boom, we start running into Chinese guys, and I was like, I couldn't believe, because I'm like, he's so right. Because at first I'm like, it's got to be rare. We're not gonna see any Chinese. It's gonna be like Venezuelans as always. Nope. In McAllen, running into Chinese, and so first, man, obviously we're trying to put an investigation together. Obviously, we don't speak Mandarin, so we're gonna have to use Google Translate and things like that. So we started piecing up things. So one of the first things that we learned instantly, this is through Texas DPS intelligence too, is that the reason why the Mexican cartel loves the Chinese migrant smuggling is because the Chinese are willing to pay cartel up to 35 grand to be smuggled into the U.S.
Whoa.
Where a Venezuelan, the most they could probably
Yeah,
pay is maybe up to
5?
6 grand. Yeah, you know, like in that range, they're not getting
The difference between 6 grand and 35 grand that get smuggled across the border. That's big money.
up to the tens, most up to 30.
Is and think about it on a scale of from 10 to 1100. There was 10 here yesterday. This same day next month, there's 1100. 35 grand a piece.
5 grand to be smuggled into the U.S. Is that the reason why the Mexican cartel loves the Chinese migrant smuggling is because the Chinese are willing to pay cartel up to 35 grand to be smuggled into the U.S.
Whoa.
Where a Venezuelan, the most they could
Yeah,
probably pay is maybe up
5?
to 6 grand. Yeah, you know, like in that range, they're not getting up to the tens or whatever. So then you have that aspect where these guys are willing to pay 35 grand. And then one thing you notice straight off the bat with the Chinese is that they look clean. Like they don't look like they trekked through a country. They're not, you know, like when you run into a Venezuelan or any other nationality. I mean,
Yeah.
they trek through Mexico. They've been living on the street, whatever. They look completely clean. Clean luggage, shoes, outfit.
They coming over here balling already, out of control. So this Chucky Chigon, he said they were finding Muslim rugs and Middle Eastern stuff too. Jojo AZ said nobody could just run up on us. No, it's a slow crawl. But if they and their allies smuggle 200,000 people from each country, then they'll have an army already here when they make their move. And that's what I'm saying. It's a slow burn from how it's looking. We about to see. Salutes. Which guy's gonna get whacked? David Gotti? Huh? Which guy are you talking about? Who's gonna get whacked? Depends what they're crossing. Prices can be more. Not only that, he's about to break down their moves. And I thought about that too. I said, man, that 35,000 probably only covers a certain amount of this because it seems like a lot of moves. We're about to get into it. Who's gonna get whacked, David Gotti? Who's getting whacked? No? Cat got your tongue? Alright. We'll move on then. The guy spilling the beans. Who's spilling who's this guy right here? He's a journalist, bruh. Who's he spilling the beans on? Huh? Did you jump in head first? You didn't know what we was talking about over here? Shout out Chucky Chigon. He said, I remember it was like 1,500 back in the day. Shit. They talking about 35,000 and they coming over here in a mink coat with luggage. They're not playing no games. Right? Give me a sec. Let me make sure I got this on my phone in case I got to do some clappage. Warriors fought different nowadays, though. They don't need a lot of boots on the ground. If they have the right ones here and have control over technology, you're absolutely correct. And that's going to be something else that's highlighted in the Nick Irving video. Because he said it. He said it. He said, sorry, I was reading. He said, boots on the ground, they just too deep. That's a numbers game. But it's technology. How it's gonna go down. Let's get it.
Clean. So what we learned is that first we learned about the price tag. So we started learning about that. Then I started.
David Gotti said exactly. Journalists get slaughtered for snitching. Do your research. Papa. Go look up what journalist means. Go look up this guy as opposed to everybody else. This guy's just fucking doing his job. You know what I'm saying? Go worry about the real snitches. All of them. They're deep enough for you. Go do your research because you sound clueless. They getting that VIP smuggling treatment. No, they coming in here classified, boy.
Start doing interviews. Any other nationality. I mean,
Yeah.
they trek through Mexico. They've been living on the street, whatever. They look completely clean. Clean luggage, shoes, outfit. Clean. So what we learned is that first we learned about the price tag. So we started learning about that. Then I started doing interviews. See, that's in Maine right here. You guys see, Justice Department says Chinese cartels may be taking millions off illegal cargoes in Maine.
You should do it yourself, David Gotti. But, we know you pussy, so that's not happening. All right? Little Davy. They're playing the art of war just like the book. We shall see, Mahmoud. Salutes. David Gotti. You gonna get whacked. Everybody gonna get whacked, huh? You gonna do the whacking, David Gotti? Huh? You a nobody. Like, in the background right here. Let me see. Let's see what this guy looks like here. This guy got Elmo as his avatar, y'all. Elmo. You know what I mean? Fucking Elmo just told me I'm gonna get whacked. Well, we're gonna see what else you got to say. Maybe we put you in the bathroom for like 20, 30 minutes. Look, he got my attention. Oh, I'm a wetback, huh? Everybody here's a wetback. Dave Gotti might get whacked out of his chat. Oh, he gonna get whacked. I wish somebody will whack me for hours. What? Relax, Jojo. You tweaking, huh? I know Jonathan's sitting over there with his finger on the trigger right now. He got our attention. David Gotti, he's probably 12 years old. Put him in the bathroom.
Put him in a fucking bathroom.
Give him like 30 minutes. Give him like 30 minutes in the bathroom. I don't think so. Adrian, did he? I don't think so. I think he went to his grave with it. Probably wanted to. Who knows? Salutes. Bow. All right, Chucky got him. Put him in the bathroom.
Adios, pendejo.
All right, let's move on.
Dang, dude. So then we started doing interviews on Google Translate and about, how are you guys getting into Mexico? What's the apparatus here? Because every nationality is different of how they get into the U.S. So we started learning through Google Translate with the Chinese. We're thankful that they were just open with us. What the Chinese were telling us is they have to fly to Ecuador because Ecuador does not require travel visa from Chinese citizens. So Chinese citizens, if they want to come into the U.S. in this migration journey thing that we're seeing, is through smugglers, with Mexican smugglers, with smugglers also in Colombia and Ecuador, and through WhatsApp and through the Chinese one is WeChat, is they basically got coordinated in all the directions and tips. So basically the goal for Chinese, you first fly to Ecuador. Ecuador does not require a travel visa from a Chinese citizen, so it's not even a hassle. You fly right.
First stop, Ecuador, all right? From China. Salutes. Salutes Ducks on the check-in. Adrian, salutes to you. Freddie, we had to put him in the bathroom. All right, first stop, Ecuador.
Right in.
Hit the like button, y'all. The math ain't mathing right now, man.
Once they fly to Ecuador, smugglers, and it's already coordinated in their chats, will then get them to Neocoli, Colombia. From Neocoli, Colombia, they have hotels just for Chinese migrants. So then
second stop, Colombia.
Oh my god.
Yeah, so then the migrants will stay there in Neocoli, Colombia. Some will go through other different parts, but mainly they have to get to Neocoli, Colombia. From Neocoli, Colombia, they get on boats. I don't know if you want to just put this on Google Maps so you could see it. Just put like Neocoli, Colombia, Chinese or any of that. So from there, the Chinese get on boats. Those boats will take them to Central America. They'll basically get to Panama. From there, the Chinese are going through the Darien Gap, which is, I think your viewers probably know, it's probably the most dangerous journey in the world, according to the Panamanian government.
Colombia, they get in the water.
The Chinese are going through the Darien America. They'll basically get to Panama. Chinese get on boats. Those boats, Colombia, they get on boats. I don't know if you...
From boats from Colombia to Panama. Jeez Louise.
David Gotti just subscribed on YouTube.
David Gotti just subscribed on YouTube. It takes 20 minutes from his subscription to be able to talk in the chat, but he's in the bathroom for 30 minutes. I don't know how that's gonna work for him. We'll see what happens. He's gonna get another one though. He already don't know how to talk. Always one shitbird in the chat, maybe two. As we grow Chucky Chingong, it's gonna be way more of them. Facts. But that notification was perfect, and somebody took a like back. One of you dirty bastards hit the like and took it back. Says more about you than it says about us. Salutes. Hit the like button and subscribe. Great quality content. 12 ghost watching. Got it. He's back. Not yet, but yeah.
If you want to just put this on Google Maps so you could see it, just put like Neocoli, Colombia, Chinese or any of that. So from there, the Chinese get on boats. Those boats will take them to Central America. They'll basically get to Panama. From there, the Chinese are going
That's a long trek so far, boy. From China to Ecuador to Colombia to Panama.
through the Darien Gap, which is,
Darien
I
Gap.
think your viewers probably know, it's probably the most dangerous journey in the world, according to the Panamanian government, too.
Why is that though?
Because all the kind of like narco criminals that control that jungle, it's just like I mean, the stories that we hear from interviewing migrants, the amount of dead bodies, the women that are constantly raped there you see a lot of the trees, so that's where you see like the trees with all the women's underwear there. I've done interviews and seen these videos myself to verify where migrants are literally walking over dead bodies in the Darien Gap, even kids, which was it's tough to see. So it's
He just said a grape tree. I think that's what he said. Where they have women's undergarments hanging from it. That sounds like hell on earth, that Darien Gap shit. I gotta look into that place.
jungle. It's just like I mean, the stories that we hear from interviewing migrants, the amount of dead bodies, the women that are constantly raped there you see a lot of the trees, so that's where you see like the trees with all the women's underwear there. I've done interviews and seen these videos myself to verify where migrants are literally walking over dead bodies in the Darien Gap, even kids, which was it's tough to see. So it's super dangerous to go through. But the Chinese will take a boat from Neocoli, Colombia. They'll get to around that Panama area, and then from Panama they will go through the Darien Gap on foot. So even the Panamanian government, if you look at their records, has a record number of Chinese nationals because they have it registered of going through the Darien Gap. Once they go through the Darien Gap, we'll talk about this later too, bro. Nicaragua plays a key role in our immigration crisis because Nicaragua allows irregular migration to the U.S. and they know it too. They'll allow the Chinese to go through. They'll make it obviously to Guatemala and they'll get to Tapachula, Mexico. So once they cross into Mexico, the first big border town for them is Tapachula. Technically, migrants are not allowed to go past Tapachula without a travel document because then they're technically in Mexico illegally. What Mexican officials are doing, and they're playing a role in this migration crisis, is they're issuing migrants, I'm doing this in air quotes, a humanitarian visa pass.
Oh boy.
So this humanitarian visa, normally it goes for 30 to 60 days. So this humanitarian visa technically it allows you to be in Mexico for 30 to 60 days and allows you to travel. The only reason government officials are issuing these travel visas is because they know these people are not going to stay in Mexico. They're headed to the U.S. So basically saying, here, just go. Just get to the U.S.
Dump it over here.
So Chinese migrants are giving these travel visas, and all the nationalities, other too, but we're just talking about Chinese right now. Is they're giving these travel visas. From there, the Mexican smugglers through WeChat and WhatsApp have already coordinated their travel path. So the majority that we're finding out right now are either from Tapachula will get into Cancun or will get into Mexico City. From Cancun to Mexico City, they'll buy flights directly to Tijuana, Mexico. From Tijuana, the smugglers will then meet them at the airport, and then they'll take them an hour out of Tijuana in an area called Tecate.
At what point does that $35,000 start? You know what I'm saying? Because that was a lot, man. Ecuador to Colombia to Panama through the Darien Gap into Mexico to one of the major hubs. Then from there to TJ. Then from TJ to figure out how to get across, like that seems like a lot. That's a lot of bread involved there. A lot of spots on the way. And then you got these governments that are like, go on, take this visa. Get out of my hair. I'm straight. Shout out Adrian Bugarini. Said, that's wild. Never seen a subscription read out. It would have actually put his subscription. It would have put his name and shit on the thing, but he was in the bathroom when it happened. My pops used to ride his horse with search and rescue to find illegals who couldn't make it. Some were gone. Dehydration. Walking the desert 3-4 days. Yeah. I had a homie that used to fucking go back and forth. And the shit he used to tell me, boy, the mirages and the times that he thought he wasn't going to make it back. Crazy shit.
Directly to Tijuana, Mexico. From Tijuana, so we're finding out right now, are either from Tapachula will get into Cancun or will get into Mexico City. From Cancun to Mexico City, they'll buy flights directly to Tijuana, Mexico. From Tijuana, the smugglers will then meet them at the airport, and then they'll take them an hour out of Tijuana in an area called Tecate, and they'll cross illegally into the area that you saw me earlier in, Jacumba Hot Springs, right out of San Diego. So that's kind of the what we learned through our interviews was this all starts in Ecuador. They up to $35,000 they're willing to be paid, and then as soon as they get into Mexico, government officials issue them that travel visa, so then they're freely allowed to travel. And then the smugglers have already coordinated the flights. They'll be like, hey, from Tapachula, we need you to make it to Cancun or Mexico City. And then from there, they'll get to TJ right out of Tecate, and then into Jacuma Hot Springs. And that's kind of the migration trail for Chinese right now.
It's interesting that it starts in Ecuador. I just had Luis Navia in here. I think you were saying you checked out that episode. So one of the things he was telling me, I can't remember if he talked about this off camera or on, but either way, you know, he's really wired in to this day to where shit's going down and whatever, because like he's worked with the government forever now. And he was like, Ecuador is a fucking mess. He's like, that's the next like cartel gang takedown spot. And I forget some of the details he was telling me. I think obviously some of it had to do with their government or whatever, but that's interesting that China would pick that as like the jump off point. And
some Chinese men actually fly to first they'll get to Istanbul, Turkey. Jeez. And then some are getting issued fake documents in Turkey, and then will then fly into Ecuador.
How do they get issued fake? Like, is it like ID chief? Like what are they getting?
Well, it's literally like fake passports to just bypass, literally just getting on an airplane. And then I mean we find this more later in the reporting, but this, like I said, back in 2023, this was early on in Texas, you know. Okay. So we learned about the Chinese migration. Like I said, we learned about how they're coming and little other things, which we found interesting. And then late last year, early this year, it just made a huge push into Tijuana. So then we started going to Tijuana, and then we started learning more about how the cartels were smuggling the Chinese there, making big bucks. But one thing that we noticed on the Tijuana border particularly is that all the Chinese will destroy their documents on the Mexican side or right on the border. So then when Border Patrol agents apprehend them, they have no documents. The vetting is super difficult for Chinese, because one thing you have to remember, if you're a Border Patrol agent and you vet these guys, you could really only go off information in the U.S., which if these guys have never been, you don't have that.
But what about the migrants though too? A lot of them haven't been, right?
Yeah, but this is particularly just the Chinese. The other thing here is, China's government does not share a database with the U.S. So if you're a Border Patrol agent, and let's say you come across this guy from China, and he's a communist soldier over there, or whatever the case is,
you don't know shit.
You don't know. He could be a criminal in China. We don't know. So when we do the vetting, we don't know.
Thank you for watching the video.
Shit. Salute to you, bro. I appreciate you. Said they come in yapping, talking crazy, and it stops, and such just subscribe. Yeah, they're a bunch of malichos. They don't have money to cross the border. The cartel makes them carry a 60-pound backpack full of rugs. See, you like corridos once, right? You should check out la historia de Juanito de Calibre 51. All right, we'll do. All right, let's real quick before we move on to something else from this same interview. Let's move on to what Nick Irving was saying. So we were talking about we were talking about how they're buying up farmland, how they're buying up land, how they're moving into Mexico, moving factories into Mexico, moving operations into Mexico. Hit the like button if you have yet to do so, please. And we talk about what happens one day when you look up and they've brought in everybody they needed to bring in to do everything they needed to get done to crush us. So I want to see this Nick Irving clip real quick. There's also a big influx of Iranian, Syrian immigrants crossing the border too. That's the problem. There's always gonna be you're gonna have your good people, but you're gonna have the wolf in sheep's clothing coming in across the border carrying a baby, you know. And you know, these sleeper cells pop up. I think America has been comfortable for a long time. I think America has been the big badass on the block for a long time. I don't think nobody wants a nuclear problem, but I think they too busy, you know, arguing with each other on social media to pay attention to the influx of all kind of people from all over the world that are just walking in over here, just walking in. They're not necessarily the argument about the jobs. The argument is, are they going to knock the grid down? Let's check it out.
You said okay. Off topic. Mm-hmm. You put a tweet out. Mm-hmm. You said China is your biggest enemy. They are out to destroy you and your precious way of life. Do you think America will ever go to war with China?
No. Not the way we are used to seeing war. I don't think so. I think it'd be more on the electronic war front, which is, I think, more dangerous. If they hacked into our power grid, let's say shut off our power grid, right? I mean, we're knocked back to the Stone Age. No one would know what to do for who knows how long. I mean, be able to find it. We get most of our information from the news, social media, things of that nature. And if you shut off our power grid, most people would be in the dark, in the blind, having no idea what's going on. And I think that amount of fear would, I think, be detrimental to a lot of our society, a lot of chaos. And you don't have to have on the ground big confrontational war. I don't think we could compete with China on the ground. And if it got to that point, I mean, we're looking
Correct me if I'm wrong. They have the biggest army in the world, correct?
Oh, yeah. I just think sheer numbers, we would not be able to withstand a battle with China. And based on our previous wars, just absolutely not. And both countries having intercontinental ballistic missiles, nuclear capabilities, it takes one person to feel like, hey, I'm losing this battle. I'm going to go ahead and nuke it. It could be something, like that. But I think that if China wants to do damage, they could do it without having to fire a shot. It could easily be done electronically, easily.
And how easy is that when you got from 10 Chinese apprehensions to 1,100 in 30 days? You know what I'm saying? You got these guys that come over here, understand the technology, come here with a specific purpose to knock down that grid. You don't know which one he is. You don't know where he came through, what he paid to get here, who smuggled him over, none of that shit. The Chinese buying up water in Mexico and a lot of the water in Lake Michigan, if I'm correct. Damn, boy. So I owe them every time I go to the beach. They wildin'. Freddie Lopez said, talk about the cartels taking avocados from the farmers. Jay said it. Jay said when we're eating avocados and a whole lot of other things, we might be inadvertently supporting the cartels, which in turn supports human trafficking, which in turn, supports the oppression of poor people. It's a snake eating its own ass. Civilization. Adrian said, I was reading on Twitter and certain pages are saying the East has declared war on the West already. They probably full into their first missions. I like this guy as well. Yeah, I like Nick Irving. First time I saw Nick Irving was on Demolition Ranch, blowing shit up. Definitely a badass sniper. Vietnam was a blueprint to how we can be defeated, unfortunately. Yeah. You went in somebody else's neighborhood talking crazy. You figured out you didn't understand the landscape. But let's say I live in a small city in the Central Coast. Internet went out and a lot of restaurants and businesses had to close for the day because they couldn't operate. Everything shuts down. What happens when the electricity goes off and you look at your house and you look at the food that's about to go bad in your fridge, right? And then you think about all the food that, man, they're about to loot up all the food from the Walmart. Or it's gonna go bad. And now everybody's a savage, chasing everything down, getting everybody out the way, one way or the other. It's complete chaos. That's all it takes, just a little bit of darkness. We'll find who we really are in the dark. The tequila we drink is all cartel owned. See? Can't do nothing. Hit the like button, y'all.
Wow. I think our power grid is far outdated and
Facts.
Weak. And I think that if a country wants to do anything to us, it's going to be through electronics, hacking. Russia's already been known for it. China's
all this money they're spending when we could have been reinforcing our power grid to make sure that shit don't go down. Put Elon Musk in charge of that shit. Musk think that shit out. Figure it out. Yeah, civil unrest. Turned into the Walking Dead out this bitch. I mean, look what a pandemic did. Pandemic caused a lot of panic. Caused a lot of deaths, a lot of lies, a lot of politics, a lot of waves that are still rolling right now. Can't be stopped. But he's right. Power grid ain't shit. We held up with wires. if the real Nikola Tesla, not Elon Musk, not the Tesla Corporation, but if Nikola Tesla was still around, I mean, if Nikola Tesla's vision would have been still around, we'd probably be advanced by now, and we wouldn't have to depend on wires hanging off the crib. Just cut the wires. That's it. It's over with. Well, you got one person on every certain amount of block. Cut the wire. Boom. Done deal. Better learn to live off the land. Hit the mountains. Red Dawn shit. Yeah. No, see, I'm burned up right here, dog. You know what I'm saying? Burn up where I'm at. Freddie Lopez said the farmers are traveling the avocados in armored trucks now. That's the new dope. It's the new dope. But I think Nicholas Irving is onto something. The power grid's outdated and weak.
Known for it and has the capabilities to do far outdated and weak. And I think that if a country wants to do anything to us, it's going to be through electronics, hacking. Russia's already been known for it. China's known for it and has the capabilities to do so. All it takes is to shut down our power grid, and it's all she wrote. Or you could just place like 20 snipers, and you could do that and hit up some power grids too, some 50 cal or something. I think there was an old story about that. I have to look it up again. They haven't caught the guy, or guys, but it was an electronic, or the power grid. They were hitting it somewhere with the sniper rifles, and they haven't figured out who did it. I have to look it up.
Yeah, I heard something about that story too, that they hit up, a power plant, and nobody knows where these guys are at. They thieves in the night. They was out of there. I gotta look into that story, because if it's that easy, coño, man, we're in trouble. But he said it. We can't beat them on the ground. They way too deep. You know what I'm saying? And they'd hit us on our power grid. Like, how can we keep them from hitting our power grid? By knowing where everybody's at, dog. By everybody being on paper. But if you just walking across the border and we don't know where you came from, and if the judge could send for me at my house, but we can't send for you because we don't know nothing about you, I don't know what the hell. Something's wrong with that scenario right there. But I feel like the U.S. is paying attention to a bunch of shit it shouldn't be paying attention to, and there's a bunch of shit getting past them on a daily basis. Boy, Analia is partisan. And salutes. My move. Cybersecurity is the next big thing for the USA. It should have been the next big thing a long time ago. Now they're late. So if you mean next big thing by their next big caught with their pants down moment, quite possible. The next big embarrassment, Angel Correa said, it's sad. Shout out, Sally Salutes. It's sad, but true, we don't need no one coming to unalive us, because when chaos hits us, we're going to unalive each other for toilet paper and water, etc. You know what I mean? I know exactly what you mean. Salutes to you. Thank you for being here. Dude so calm. That's what's scary. He's a control iller. I mean, that dude's done enough dirt to, he don't have to get excited. He get excited, somebody's head pops off. Why do you think Democrats wants to go? I don't know what EV means. The Chinese are telling them to. I don't know what the EV means. Biden has sent billions, but again, you playing one side to the other. Republicans are probably in the same shit with somebody else, in the same cahoots with somebody else. But that's what I'm saying. Like, y'all too busy playing that game when everybody else is playing another game, and the U.S. ain't paying attention. Biden has sent billions to Israel and Ukraine when we're struggling to make ends meet. Them billions could have been used to strengthen our economic structure. Our power grid, you know what I'm saying? Our immigration policies and infrastructure, like a lot of things, But it's oppression on every level. But I do think, it's the story that you see in every TV show, right? You got let's just say he's a hustler. Let's just say he's Ghost, like Power, and he do everything right. He cold, and nobody ever catches him slipping. Then he fall in love, and he get comfortable, and it's been a long time he been in the game, and now all of a sudden people are testing him. Unfortunately, I don't see in America where that ain't going to be tested in the next 15, 20, 30 years, 10 years. I'm talking about testing on a real level, a World War level, probably quicker than that, 5 years. It's unfortunate, But But that's, probably just me. I'm what's the word? Pessimist. Pessimist? Salutes. Electric vehicles. Electric vehicles. They're gonna shut everything down. I mean, what do you think of that reporter that they ran his car into the tree and they said, they asked Buddy, hey man, can you think a car can be hacked? They said, does it have a computer? Any car with a computer can be hacked. Who knows? There's a story about some Chinese guys that tried to hack some cartel guys, but the cartel guys hired somebody to hack them back, and it was a whole cluster. Adrian said, this has been happening since Reagan, not just Biden. Facts. Sayo, did you know that Barbie blew up Jenny Rivera's plane because she didn't want to bring his money across the border? Stop it. Is that real? Is that a real conspiracy theory right there? My mother always brings her up. My mother, she talks about my grandmother. She said, man, my grandmother cried for weeks when that young lady passed away. But is that a real theory? That would be something to look into. Sounds ridiculous, but Chucky said, you're right, we've been lucky. Facts. Jonathan said, China represented 11.22% of the global water footprint in 1995 and 13.57% in 2009. China mainly imports water footprints from the USA, India, and Brazil. China mainly exports water to USA, Japan, and Germany. Jesus. That's the game. The resources of the world. Now, Freddie Lopez, you saying, yes, it's a true story. It can also be a legend. It can also be a rumor. Especially if it's the first time hearing it, like, it feels to me like one of those legends. It's something to look into. Maybe we'll look at it and say, okay, this could be real. Maybe we look at it and say, this is some bullshit, So I don't know, man. I ain't never heard that one. Salutes. No, Jonathan came with the receipts, bro. He came with the receipts. Salutes. All right, so boom. I'm with Nicholas Irving, man. We need to be very careful as to not fuck around and find out. But I don't think we are. I think we're going to just keep letting people in. I think it's just going to be a mess. It's not till something happens. September 11th, you couldn't squeeze a nickel bag across the border. Then everything stopped, Source information. No. JFL, we need source information from Freddie Lopez. Salutes Freddie Lopez. Folklore, yeah, quite possible. But we like these stories. They're sexy and we run with them. We tend to go with them and say, yeah, that's the story, but I'm trying to find the truth. Hit the like button if you have yet to do so, yo. I'm trying to find the truth. All right, let's go back to this Dorsey interview. Let's talk more about this immigration situation. But those stories came from some truth. I agree with that too. There's something to everything. It's the same as people saying that Hype Williams knocked down, put Aaliyah on a faulty plane at the behest of Jay-Z. Like, sounds good, but that's why our crew is dope. A lot of knowledge, and not just knowledge, man. The what's the word? The desire to go and get the information and bring it to the table. I appreciate it. That's helping the content move forward. All right, let's see what we got here. Why Northern California has become Mexican cartel's new hotspot. Hold on a sec. I want to do this one first. Border Patrol agents are finding illegal immigrants below ground.
And shout out, just to the men and women down there, the sheriffs, the deputy constables. Those guys are never going to get like the recognition they deserve, but they're out there when no one's looking, when we already moved on to the next news story. They're out there, dude, pulling out another body, of the Rio Grande. And then in about a week or two, man, I'm about to be embedded with, right now in New Mexico, right next to El Paso, Sunland Fire Department.
What do y'all know about this guy? I haven't heard you guys tell me too much about this Jorge guy right here. What do y'all think of him? He's one of them puts extra crema on the tacos guys, or what's up? Or y'all don't know too much about him? He seems passionate about what he's talking about. I pulled it off a Google search. Too much to copy and paste. Salute. Man, Leah said, even a historic Democrat like RFK didn't trust the Dems and endorsed Trump. Bro, you riding it hard as hell, boy. You're a soldier, dog. Go get a tattoo. Go get a placazo, homie. I'm born and raised here in Northern California. Salute to you, Adrian.
Department, little fire department, right now getting five to 10 calls a day on migrant rescues of migrants dying in 110 heat, degree heat, triple digit heat, with no one could find them. I was speaking to the fire chief like 2 days ago. Within a span of 2 weeks, they had over 6 deceased bodies that they had to pull. So you have Sunland Fire Department going through it. I was just literally in that El Paso Sunland Department area, and we were embedded with Border Patrol in the storm drains. Like, this is something I didn't even think of.
Storm drains?
Yeah. So El Paso has these storm drains connected to Juarez.
Can we pull this up? El Paso storm drains,
Yeah.
Juarez?
And so we went in bed with Border Patrol agents in these storm drains, and they were explaining to us how smugglers bring in the migrants and sometimes completely abandoned kids. So then, but we're in these. That's exactly what I was in. Exactly what I was in. I was in that, like, maybe if you guys look at my Instagram post, literally 2 weeks ago, I was in those storm drains, and they were explaining how, like, dude, they'll just leave kids in storm drains. Like,
That's crazy.
That's just insane. I mean, out of all the ones, that's insane. But they'll leave them in storm drains, in complete darkness. We're in the storm drains, dude, and we're dying, and we have equipment. We have, like, air monitors. We have helmets. We obviously have lights, and we're dying in there. They leave kids with no equipment, and these kids are going through storm drains in complete darkness. And then Border Patrol agent, just to save these kids, it's also almost like a suicide mission for them, because they have to go in there. Once they're in, there's no cell phone service. So it's like, if he needs help, if he needs assistance, no one knows. So it's like all these little things, man, that I think a lot of people don't get to see.
It's like, what? They get here, they don't know where to go. There's nowhere to go. Where you gonna put them? They end up in a fucking storm drain. Ridiculous. My homie had Jenny singing at the club every 3 months. Ask Jay and Peter, they know. All right. I'm just saying, though. I feel like it would have been a bigger story if that shit had, some smoke to it. But we'll look into it. He's on and we do that shit a lot, Freddie. So no offense, we do that shit a lot as a humanity. We'd be like, no, this happened, and sometimes it didn't happen, but we're gonna look into that one. I'm not saying you lying. I'm just saying maybe you got confirmation bias. Maybe you like this story. You know what I'm saying? But I'm not saying you lying. He's new on the scene, but he's determined to get the truth out. Oh, okay, new on the scene. No, yeah, I don't know. I think this is the first I hear of him. He seems legit, like he be putting in a lot of work into the subject. Yeah, he's not. He doesn't seem passive about it. He seems extremely passionate about getting it out and saying it clearly. Salute Sabino. Is that Selena's husband? I don't know what the hell you talking about. Another live show. If I'm lying, you can block me for lying, bro. Nah, I wouldn't do that. I don't believe you're lying. I just believe you could be subject to a story that's bullshit. Or it's true. We'll figure it out.
About the human aspect of this story that I think in 20 years is going to be a historic. I mean, it's going to be a story of just like how this all occurred, and I think we're going to be feeling the repercussions of it.
We're going to be feeling the repercussions of it for a lot of different reasons, but you keep on bringing up the political divide on this, and I think it's important to. It's the 500-pound elephant in the room. I think it's really, really important to address this and talk about it because, the way our country seems to work, it's stronger at other times with this than certain times, but you see the pendulum when it comes to the top end. Ever since, World War II, it's like Democrat, Republican. Like it kind of goes back and forth. And now we're at a point where the division is so much that those swings are like this.
Right.
So right now we're coming up on, the end of this current 4-year term of Biden, a Democratic president, where obviously it goes without saying we have seen unbelievable records of the migrant crisis at the border. Like, it's just statistics. It is what it is. He's been a failure on that front. And he followed up a guy Trump, who put a lot of his campaign, his initial campaign, and continues to do it on the border, who also had less of these problems on the border and was trying to fix some of these things allegedly. Now, you get two sides of the coin here. You kind of said it yourself a few minutes ago with the left, but you get on the left like, oh no, we're supposed to love and let them come across and everything. But then the minute you tell them about the humanitarian
That's the woke side of it right there. See? That's what we was talking about.
crisis we're creating, let them come across and everything. But then the minute you tell them about the humanitarian crisis we're creating by letting fucking millions of them come across with no plan and no overwatch on who's bringing them across, and you tell them about all them who are dying in these graveyards, I mean, it's disgusting. They don't want to hear about that. Right? So they preach with love,
Right.
But then when you go show them an opportunity to show love, they go, well, that goes against our political abilities. You know what? I'm not down there. I'm sure it's not that bad anyway. You're probably you're overreacting to it.
He's right.
Then on the hard other side, and I mean the hard other side, you'll have people who are maybe cloaking this in an ability to be completely isolationist and be like, we don't want any goddamn immigrants in here, right? And that's where it actually, I'm not saying like the right wing's all like that. They're not. But there's extreme elements who are more like that, who are like, they're replacing us and shit. And so you kind of, it's like a shit or a fart. They're both bad options, right? And so what I like about you is, number one, you can relate to it a little bit. You're a second generation El Salvadorian. You are the product of the American dream existing here and coming here and doing things the right way. And we'll get into your story as well a little later. But like, you see the humanitarian crisis. You see that this has to stop. You also see that we do have to put some type of system in place so that this can't happen in the first place, be it a border wall, whatever it is. And yet you kind of have two loud voices who, if they have their way, it's either going to get in the opposite direction really bad or worse in the current direction we're at. How do you grapple with that?
No nuance.
As a human being, not a journalist.
But I think for me, man, I think at the end of the day, I'm just gonna do the best storytelling that I could do. I'm not out here to be like, I'm gonna change the world or I'm gonna change I'm just gonna do the best raw storytelling that I can, and at least if only 10 people watch my stuff, I at least want those 10 people, bro, to walk out with something and be like, I view it different, or that just I didn't see it like that. That's why I always try to lead with the video, because it's more power. It's more powerful. But it's like you could only do so much. So I mean, for me, man, I just want to show another side of it, and also not be sensationalize everything. And I think that's what makes
listen, everything gets sensationalized. And another thing is the repetition of information. There ain't really been no new developments on the court paper, on the story that I know of. You know what I'm saying? Of El Mayo's capture. But Lord knows that there's a million videos put out about the same shit every day. And you guys are falling for it. You're falling for these channels that are giving you this AI that is just repeating themselves over and over and over again. They're just cutting it to different parts of it. Now they're going to talk about this up front and this later. And it's like you guys are and it's just for them to get clicks, but you're learning nothing new. Nothing. Guy with the headphones looks like Chris from Selena. This was a good one. The Chinese connection. Cali's real as F. Salutes Albert Flores on the check-in. Agents say the coyote got paid. After that, they don't care what happens to the people. Right. They were paid to get across the border. They literally take them to Rio Grande and abandon them right there. It's evil. Yeah, man. Babies and shit, man. When babies ain't got no grace in this world, we're done, man. And we've been past that. If Trump becomes president, the kilos are going up to 50K. That's hilarious. That's funny.
Kind of reporting unique. I kind of got thrusted into, because of where I first ever got my internship, I got thrusted into the conservative world. So I have to navigate through that, and then navigate through this kind of mainstream where like liberal mainstream still controls the majority of mainstream. So it's like you're almost like dancing on this line. Right. And I think, for me, man, I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing, where it's like sharing stories from the ground, being a human. A lot of not all, but like some conservative journalists, when it comes to the issue of immigration, they've become numb to the human part, where then the people they see just become the political ploy.
Numbers.
The numbers, and it just becomes like their argument. Which for me, and I think what helps me is having the parents from El Salvador, having the immigrant background. I just can't ever view it like that. So I'm always going to view it as a human aspect, but we're always going to keep it honest with the real issues. We're always going to hit it with the political angle because you have to keep the people in power accountable. But it's just kind of showing kind of everything, man. Storytelling, like, hey, this is the effects on the politics and this and that, but then showing like just the real life human aspect. At the end of the day, these people are just like us, whether you're left or right. You run into a 4-year-old by them, with that's gonna break you. It's gonna make you look at it different.
Thank you for watching.
Shit. Salute Zorada on the check-in. Shy made it finally. All right, clocked out. Throw that shit out of here. Salute to you. The truth will eventually come out. Salutes, Adrian. All right, boom. Saludos to the chat. Yeah, man, leaving babies in storm drains. That shit's crazy. But the U.S. got to put something in place. Something got to give. When are you going to have Jay and Peter back on the live, bro? Don't know. After 10,000. After 10,000 subs. Let's see. Why Northern California has become Mexican cartel's new hotspot.
It was crazy because like we hop in with Siskiyou County sheriffs and we're like driving in the dirt roads, and as we're heading to the grows, all the Hmongs are leaving their grows because they know they're about to get raided. So all these Hmongs are leaving. I talked to Sonic. I said, hey man, I think we need to go up there. I talked to Daily Caller, and then what Daily Caller did is like, hey man, you go up there by yourself for 2 weeks, and then you come back and tell us everything, and then we'll see if we're gonna investigate it. So I go up there for 2 weeks. And I'm used to what I heard in the desert, so I know what to expect, but it was at another level up there. So first, I meet a firefighter, and he goes, hey, man, because of the marijuana grows and because how armed these guys are, he gives me a map. He's like, these are all the residents or the neighborhoods we can't go to on a 911 call. So it's like, if there's a fire, we don't even attend because there's literally Asian guys with like AKs now that they shoot at us. They do. He's like, now.
America.
In America. So the way he explained it, saying the only way they could respond to a 911 call, they now have to call the sheriff of Siskiyou County or whatever, and the sheriff has to accompany that firefighter, or they just won't do it. Amazon, there's a bunch of
That sounds crazy as shit in America. In America, right? Now I remember a time in certain neighborhoods in Chicago where, police ain't going. But damn, the firefighters gonna be able to go. The EMTs gonna be able to go. You know what I'm saying? Once you got some armed guard and they not letting firefighters through, what are we talking about? This is America? Yo, somebody need to smuggle me out of this motherfucker, man. Smuggle me into someplace new, cause this shit is crazy. You know what I mean? Shout out Pure Art. Off the gig, salutes to you. Hope you got the bag today, sir. Zorada was getting the bag today. Freddie said, I'm watching on 3 of my TVs and on my phone. I need a wrench. Salutes. If wrenches were earned that way, you'd have got one already, Papas. But salutes. I appreciate the views, though. Thank you. All right, hit the like button on each device. Bay Area's lit. Northern California. NorCal been a hotspot for Mexican cartels for years. That's in NorCal. It's wild right now. Adrian said that they say that Mencho lived in Frisco. That's true, but what they also forget to mention is that he lived in the 209 for years. No shit. Vicente had a check-in. SoCal in La Casa. Salutes to you, sir. Humboldt County and the Emerald Triangle is a whole different world. The Emerald Triangle, that's where they got the grow houses in the mountains and shit? Or the grow farms?
Broke it down.
Bro, he just said it's a hood you can't get the fire truck into. They're not going. What? It's crazy.
The Asian guys with like AKs now that they shoot at us. They do. He's like now.
America.
In America. So the way he explained it, saying the only way they could respond to a 911 call, they now have to call the sheriff of Siskiyou County or whatever, and the sheriff has to accompany that firefighter, or they just won't do it. Amazon, there's a bunch of
Let's go to Puerto Rico. I'm already there, Papas. I got my Puerto Rico shirt right here. My Boricua jump off. Wow. Oh, man, knocked this out. Velez all in my shit. You know what I mean? My K6 joint.
Broke it down.
Beautiful island.
Bunch of neighborhoods up there. Amazon won't deliver it anymore. UPS can't send any workers up there.
They'll send a drone.
Ambulances. So same thing. Like they got a 911 call. Ambulances
Can't get no
can't go up
Amazon?
there. So it just started, little by little. And then we met a teacher up there who owned property on a mountain in NorCal, and so she was telling us that she went on a summer vacation, and then during that summer vacation, essentially what happened was a bunch of Mexicans and Chinese moved into that property, tapped into the water lines, and then actually camped out there. So they actually built huts and camps on her mountain, and tapped into the water every day. So while on summer vacation, she just calls her son. She says, hey Bobby, can you just go check on the property? Make sure blah blah blah, whatever. So according to her son, and I spoke to both of them to verify the story. According to his son, he drives up, and then when he went to go check the water tank, saw like 4 or 5 Mexican guys armed. Obviously, they were tapping into the water line. He just immediately did a U and had to call law enforcement. And then law enforcement went up there a week later and cleared out. Those guys were already out there. So we went up there after to see the aftermath, just to see all the lines was interesting, to see the huts, so to see how like these guys were living was fascinating. And then the worst part is that she was telling me that at the end of this whole thing, Cal Fishing Game actually billed her for the environmental damage. That's another part of the story.
Oh, they billed her for what they did.
Yeah, because technically,
oh, that's nice.
All of that, because all
the beauty of bureaucracy. All right, you own a piece of land. You own a mountain. You've worked hard enough, or you've had a family that worked hard enough to get you a mountain. Right, you got a mountaintop. You go away on a world tour and you leave your mountain, and somebody moves on your mountain, puts a tent on your mountain, hurts your land, and does all of that. You get them out of there, and then they charge you for whatever they did on that land. That's crazy. Bananas. Salutes. Pure art, do security. Drinking some medallas on the beach, facts. I don't know what you guys, you gotta stop. Alright? We're not there right now. We're right here right now. Salutes.
And because the thing is, these guys also bring in these chemicals from Mexico that are banned here in the U.S. to put on the weed because they don't want the animals to eat them. So she ended up getting billed for them like over 30 grand by Cal Fishing Game. And it was just, like I said, bro, it was just crazy how this just kind of kept opening up. And it was just such a big story that me and Sonic, just like I said, we kept pursuing it. We put a second documentary out from Northern California. That was what I was telling you before. John Norris, who was the original Cal Fishing Game guy. For those who don't know, John Norris, back in around 2003. He gets a call that from a rancher. So you remember, Cal Fishing Game just deals with animal stuff, rancher stuff, nothing big.
It's hilarious how like these random ass government organizations that no one thinks about suddenly like fall into some crazy story like you're gonna tell right now, and then they're like, "Well, it's all yours, boys. Get your guns, have fun."
So John Norris back in like 2003 gets a call about water being diverted on a river from a rancher. So this rancher goes, "Hey man, I have a river here. My animals get water from, but it's being diverted." But he's like, "I've been following the diversion, but it's so far. I called you guys." So John and his partner then follow this diversion. And then ultimately it leads them to a field with 2,000 marijuana plants. And according to John, it was being guarded by Mexicans with AKs in kind of military outfits. So basically camouflage outfits. So they were definitely hiding from some type of entity. So John goes, reports it. They tell him to do a follow-up investigation. They go and they raid it. They take down the grows, whatever. And one thing that John notices really early on is that the amount of chemicals that these guys brought in and all the environmental damage they have already caused. Because law enforcement, because he's bringing in the law enforcement from North Cal, they only care about the criminal aspect, right? But John, as a Cal Fishing Game guy, he worries about the environmental damage. So that's one thing that he picked up on. And according to John, when we spoke, he said a couple months later, he stumbled on the second one, but with his partner, that his partner got shot in between both of his knees. So John,
these fools is diverting streams and rivers and shit to water the crop, while protecting them with semi-automatic weapons and automatic weapons. It's fucking crazy. Meanwhile, chemicalizing the rest of the land around and shit. Salutes. Live in the Bay Area. Can we do a $10 bet on Canelo versus Berlanga? No, sir. No, I don't want to make it a habit to be gambling on the channel. Salutes. So Heather wants to go to PR2. I worked at cannabis warehouse in Northern California. Very dangerous. Shout out Vicente. He said, I'm lit on the beach right now, blazing and watching. Salutes to you. Enjoy, bro. Enjoy. So this is real shit. Salutes. Punjabis are opening up all kind of dispensaries here in my city. They're flooding all the small farmer towns with these shops and 7-Elevens to pop shops. California fighting over water in the Bay Area. Yeah, the water, the crops. There's a winery out there too in Sonoma County. They send it out to LA themselves. Oh, you from Sonoma County? I was just out in Santa Rosa and Healdsburg 3 months ago. Salutes.
On with his partner with Cal Fishing Game, waited for a helicopter to be saved for about 3 hours, and it was then then Cal Fishing Game got together with law enforcement and be like, hey, this is a bigger deal than just water diversions or growing a weed plant. And then John Norris, essentially, this is the first guy to ever start raiding these illegal marijuana grows, and he developed what's called the Delta Team for a Cal Fishing Game, which is essentially a sniper expert marijuana eradication team that goes in there, raids these grows. They're trained to go combat with these Mexican guys, AK-47s, rescue missions, grows essentially legal marijuana. And John Norris, essentially.
Freddie Lopez, you sidetracking the game, man. No, I ain't doing no 20 fucking push-ups. Who you got anyway? You think Berlanga's gonna win that fight? Yeah, you got to punch his chance. But fight IQ, I don't think so. How's the weed quality?
This is the first guy to ever start raiding these illegal marijuana grows, and he developed what's called the Delta Team for a Cal Fishing Game, which is essentially a sniper expert marijuana eradication team that goes in there, raids these grows. They're trained to go combat with these Mexican guys, AK-47s, rescue missions, and so I'm in, when I was in college, I found out about John through John. I'm listening to Joe Rogan, and John's on there, and I found it interesting. I'm being a California kid, like, what the heck, cartels, marijuana? But I didn't think of anything of it. I was 22, years gone by, and then John reached out to me because he actually watched our first documentary and he loved it, and then he actually collaborated in the one in Northern California. So the great thing was to have John with us, to have a real expert on the ground, and he could just all the stuff he was seeing, he says that he saw in his early days, but now that it was times at 100, he said the whole growing on the properties makes it just so much harder for law enforcement. And he was I think the other angle too now is that the border wasn't an issue when John was working the way it is now. So just the influx of migrants that these guys could bring in who could work was fascinating. That first firefighter that we interviewed, he actually rescued 3 migrants that were being basically held captive on one of these marijuana grows. So he shared those stories. So just to have John with us was fascinating and grateful for.
And this is America, dog. He ain't talking about in Mexico, they just wilding out. This is in America. Why is this like this? You mean this whole time you haven't seen this shit?
His expertise too on top of it.
What year again did he first?
This was in 2003, and then John collabed with us on this documentary in 2002. So even 19 years later,
or 2022.
Yeah, 20. Like he said, the problem is 100 times worse. Now at that time it was strictly Mexicans. Now you have Chinese. the Chinese, the Asian, and then like I said, we're further investigating. And the great thing with Siskiyou County Sheriffs and San Bernardino did this with us too, is they gave us access on the raids, which was key. So on the day of the raid, it was crazy because we hop in with Siskiyou County Sheriffs and we're driving in the dirt roads, and as we're heading to the grows, all the Hmongs are leaving their grows because they know they're about to get raided. So all these Hmongs are leaving. But there's still workers on these grows. So as soon as we get on a grow, these guys raid it, and there was a couple of workers, they go bust them. And obviously the first thing me and Sadiq want to do is we want to talk to these workers because it's we want to find out more on the story, right? It's obviously we can find out as much as we can through law enforcement and all this stuff, but let's talk to the actual workers. And me and Sadiq, we met this married Hmong couple who got recruited online, who lived in Minnesota, who got recruited on WhatsApp, and then through WhatsApp got recruited to move to California to grow marijuana, and that they were promised $5,000 a month growing weed. So they basically up in their life.
They thought they was getting the job off Craigslist. Got me a new gig, yo. Yeah, I'm gonna be a grower. See, I can't listen to my nephews now, man. When they be I'm gonna go grow bud in Cali. Bro, you gonna do what? For who, bro? For what? For which cartel? Hold on, let's talk about this, motherfucker. Salutes. My homie went missing in Humboldt. It's dangerous up there. The Emerald Triangle. It's unfortunate. They said the water fighting in Cali's because of the stupid Delta smelt fish. That too, bro. They smuggling fish. Salute Freddie Lopez. Hit the like button and subscribe. Please do. All right, everybody seems to be up for the Puerto Rico trip. Haven't been in the game for some years, but I remember you get some greenhouse bud just as good as indoor. Who is this guy? This guy is a journalist. His name is Jorge Ventura. And he was hipping me with some information on the Chinese-Mexican connection. People be going missing up there all the time. Salutes. They said, what's the price range? You don't have to answer. Who you talking to? Hit the like button and subscribe to the great quality content. Let's make the math make sense. It's math now. Them numbers have met each other. I've been on about the issues in Northern Cal. It's only getting worse. It's like the new gold age, right? Gold rush. And then you show up there, next thing you know, you don't realize, you're at lunch, you're like, I think we're working for the cartel. I don't know. Yo, Chate Pato Hasha, you funding the Puerto Rico trip for the wrenches? Good luck with that. It would be a beautiful thing, right? I'm Beast, not Mr. Beast. He got that bread. And he in trouble. Trouble. Is gentrification, that's the issue? Back then, 12 to 1500 a pack. Salutes.
I've moved to Siskiyou. I mean, this is the middle of nowhere in Northern California. We're talking about super small like towns with like populations of like 600 people. Basically, grow marijuana for their boss. They don't even know who the boss is. Like that's the thing is like these guys who really run these grows are never on the properties. You know, it's like almost like a shadow government. So we interviewed this couple and we're like, how long have you guys been doing this? So they've been doing it for 2 months. They've been living in a shack. That's another thing too. The living conditions are brutal for these. Yeah. Many of these workers have died because of the carbon monoxide of the generators. But so they were living in shacks and we're like, so how much money did you make in these 2 months? You know, I'm expecting to hear like 10 grand. Here's the cash. 0. And they were essentially, what they didn't know is that they were basically being held captive. They still thought they were going to pay. It's like, dude, they were never going to get paid. And that's one thing that the cop was breaking down that was kind of sad was like, at the end of this whole ordeal, there's a one who's, I mean, they're going to get arrested. They're going to get charged. And the guy who's really running this is always going to go untouched. Because then for them, they don't care. If this property gets raided, you could just bring in more workers. It's just a crazy ordeal, man, of what we stumbled on in North Cal. We were up in Doris, so Doris is like the town right before you get to Oregon, and it was a population
all the way up there.
Yeah, we were Doris had a population of 1,000 people, and they had 1,500 grows in their town, so they had more grows than people.
Isn't this where is his name David Holtzclaw? Did I get that right? The documentary guy, didn't he make a documentary on something like this? Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah. Yeah, I didn't make that up? No, okay. Yeah. All right. Yeah. So, wow. There's so much on the bone here to get at. I want to try to break some of this down.
And go get the job. Next thing you know, you're a slave. You can't leave. Where you going? Nah. You got to grow for the next 46 hours. Take a nap and then come back and start again. Shit.
I just want to add this last thing.
Please,
just on this, and then so obviously we produced that documentary and it did great, but ultimately, man, it led me back, and this is the one that I was more shocked by, but ultimately it led me back to Oklahoma. So then last year I go to Oklahoma, and then we started basically reporting on Oklahoma right now is not even from what we saw, no Mexican illegal grows, it's all Chinese. So it was crazy
in Oklahoma.
So it was crazy to be like. You would go like we were like it was my first time in Oklahoma, so we would be in like a small town. Obviously, it's majority like white rural farmer towns.
Chinese aren't sticking out in Oklahoma.
No, yeah. So you're like you'll be in these small towns, man, and then now they're getting a bunch of marijuana grows. I don't know if you could Google this, bro, but there was a quadruple. If you want to put like Oklahoma quadruple homicide marijuana grow, but the famous one was there was a Chinese guy that. He had some workers, and I feel like the workers owed him money, and they didn't want to pay him. So he murdered 4 people on a marijuana grow. So there's
let's read this real quick for context, just for people. Okay, investigation continues after man shoots, kills wife and 3 children at Yukon home. what we know. Below is what we know about the case. The suspect. Okay. A homicide investigation continues after Oklahoma City police say a 10-year-old
This might not
found
be it.
5 family members.
Put marijuana farm on there real quick. Put Oklahoma Chinese farm quadruple homicide. Leave that there.
Okay. Yeah, let's try that.
See, it's like kind of.
Oh, the second one, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, Fox News is covering it. All right. Chinese national accused of murdering 4 at a legal Oklahoma medical marijuana farm, sentenced to life in prison. Okay, go down. A Chinese national who admitted fatally shooting 4 people at an illegal medical marijuana operation on an Oklahoma farm has been sentenced to life in prison. Chen Wu, 47, pleaded guilty at a court hearing Friday to 4 counts of first-degree murder and to 1 account of assault and battery with a deadly weapon in connection to a November 20th, 2022 killing. Prosecutors say Wu, also known as Wu Chen in jail records, fatally shot 3 men and a woman in a garage at the farm west of Hennessy, a town 55 miles northwest of Oklahoma City, within minutes of him demanding they return the $300,000 he had put into the growing operation. Authorities say that Wu and all his victims were Chinese citizens and that the marijuana growing operation on a 10-acre farm was operating under an illegally obtained license to grow marijuana for medical purposes. Okay, so they had it right.
And so when I went to Oklahoma, man, and we further investigated, we found out that there was lawyers in Oklahoma City who were giving Chinese citizens these fake, fraudulent medical licenses to then grow illegal marijuana.
Lawyers were.
Yeah. And then what they'll do is, and then they'll smuggle in, these are Chinese citizens that are smuggled through the southern border, so they're here undocumented, and they're here to work. And many of these Chinese citizens, they want to escape, but obviously they can't. They're basically being held captive. Google this next one for me, man. It's like...
he looks like a real sweetheart.
Yeah, put like New Mexico... Chinese marijuana lawsuit. So for the first time now, you actually have some Chinese citizens that got together, and now there's I believe they're suing one of the marijuana owners. I think it's
marijuana open up a whole can of worms, boy.
The first one.
Yeah, I think it should be it.
New Mexico cannabis manufacturer files lawsuit against Cannabis Control Division. All right, Albuquerque, New Mexico, where we know there's a lot of drug things going on. Breaking Bad. Today marks 2 years of legal recreational marijuana sales in New Mexico. Instead of a celebration, the Cannabis Control Division is now facing a new lawsuit. A local cannabis manufacturer is suing the state over a recent recall of some of its products. The manufacturer's attorney is calling the recent recall unlawful.
Oh, I think it might be another one. But there's one where basically citizens have got together and sued. But just this has basically there it is. Yeah.
Chinese immigrant
Perfect.
workers.
It is. Yeah.
Okay. Chinese immigrant workers sue over forced labor at a legal marijuana operation on Navajo land. All right, Chinese immigrant workers allege they were lured to northern New Mexico under false pretenses and forced to work 14 hours a day trimming marijuana on the Navajo Nation, where cultivating the plant is illegal, according to...
On Navajo land, all right? It's too crazy to even comprehend this bullshit. Let's see. I remember when Mexico City found a house full of money and it was Chinese money. Salutes. Last fire PG&E was responsible for was the Paradise Fire, which burned the entire town. JFL says same thing Cartel does in Sierra de Chihuahua with the indigenous people that work on the bug grows, but now they brought it to the U.S. That's it. Well, I've spoken to people in the chat that told me that, you know, their town had to buckle down because there was dudes rolling the streets with hammers out on some pickup truck shit. The whole town I saw that Ish burner was growing in Sacktown. All of y'all got a different story about this fire, which is my point. There's legends around shit. Paradise Fire was started by Gov DEWs. Fire was started by a drunk dude who lit his car on fire at the Parks Recreation Park. It's just crazy.
The lawsuit filed Wednesday in state court. Job advertisements for the operation in Shiprock promised $200 per day. Very similar to the story you told about the WhatsApp couple. Housing and food in exchange for gardening and flower cutting. But when the workers arrived in New Mexico, the complaint said their phone and car keys were taken away. Don't you hate when that happens? They were barred from leaving, and in some instances, family members were separated.
Yeah, they got
in a statement Wednesday,
up.
lawyers for the 15 workers said the clients were treated like animals and commended their bravery for coming forward. Okay, thank you for watching the video, guys.
It's crazy. On Navajo land, man. Even the Navajos ain't safe. From the grip. All right, let's see if we got something else. Let me see what was in the Discord. Or Velez sent me something. Let me see. A second. Ain't it? No, is it here? Where'd you send it, Velez? If you're still listening, to Luke. Oh, here we go. Maybe it's in consensus. Yeah, I got it. Let's see. How the Chinese gangsters transform money laundering. Got it. Thank you, sir. Navajos were never safe. They were some of the first to get kicked out of the USA. That's my point, though. Nobody's safe. All right? It's stranger than fiction, the long lineage of people getting fucked over. All right, let's check this one out real quick. ProPublica. Is this Spanish, though? If it's Spanish, then it looks Is it an article or is it? Okay, it's an article. All right. I'm gonna read this. Let's do this. Fuck it. Hundreds up in the chat, y'all. Hit the like button if you have yet to do so. I'm gonna read this article. The Ian Big one. Wait a minute. I'm on the other one. Wiretap expert revealed hidden word of catching criminals.
Go to motionray.com.
On tape. This wiretap joint, Velez. One black girl doing her business in the movies again. She talked herself into handcuffs. The article's hella long. Salutes. But if it's on topic, what's this one, this Ian Big shit about?
Intrusive capability that law enforcement has. And we don't get to just use wiretap ability willy-nilly, like wherever we want. We have to prove to both in New York State and with federal. You can see if you were in that space, right? And you were kind of apprehensive and sure. I mean, I guess I can understand that. What I would say is that, you know, law enforcement has limited resources and are certainly not interested in listening to everybody's phone call every day. We don't even do that kind of stuff when we go to war, right? So, like, the government is not collecting.
This is the jerk off listening to our phone conversations because the microphone is just there in existence. So he's just listening to shit. Fucking jerk off.
The entirety of Russia's phone system every day because even though we might legally have the right to do that because it's a completely different country, we don't have the resources or the time or the money.
So last question for you. What do you think about TikTok then, given your position, what you've done?
Yeah, good question. I'm not on it. Mm-hmm. And I understand what why people want to use it. It's an effective platform and it works. Got it. But I don't use it. My kids don't use it, and nobody that I work with.
All in the dark corner, he got Ian Big across from him, leg all in his face and shit. Bro, go put some fucking pants on. Salute.
With uses it, and it works. Got it. But I don't use it. My kids don't use it. And nobody that I work with uses it, and that's just that. It's not. China doesn't have private companies in the same way that we do, and anything that is a quote unquote private company that's associated with the Chinese Communist Party, the CCP, is directly connected to the government. There is nothing that happens in China that is not connected to the government in some way and is not part of the government's purpose in some way. So TikTok is not just making money because it wants to make money like Facebook and YouTube. TikTok may make money, but it makes money because the Chinese Communist Party wants it to make money. And it doesn't have, it being TikTok or its parent company really, ByteDance, that's the problem. It's not so much TikTok, it's ByteDance, who by the way also owns CapCut, is they have mandates that they have to stick with in order for them to operate as a quote unquote company in China. And so, you know, you may see the CEO or the president of TikTok testifying in front of Congress and say, "I'm from Singapore and I don't give anything to the Chinese party. We don't send any data from TikTok to the Chinese Chinese Communist Party." Well, then the question is, well, does ByteDance, your private company? Well, there's no answer to that one. Right?
Yeah.
Because they are. So, and the other thing I often get asked is, okay, but even if all of that stuff is true, like China is quote unquote taking all my information, what do I care? Right? Like I'm not doing anything. I'm just dancing in the street, taking TikTok
how does
videos.
it affect the
what do I
basic
care?
person?
What's the big deal? Right? On an individual basis, I can understand that logic, right? Like I'm not committing any crimes. I'm not doing anything crazy. Like who cares what China knows? The problem is China has a strategic vision for what it's trying to accomplish. The Chinese government has a strategic vision for what it's trying to accomplish. And they are, when it comes to the United States in particular, they are preparing for the possible eventuality that we go to war over Taiwan. That is not...
The irony that Ian Bick's TikTok came up on the screen. That shit's hilarious. He acting like the U.S. Gov don't run all the social media companies and the data from them. Yeah, no shit. Both are dangerous.
The Chinese government has a strategic vision for what it's trying to accomplish. And they are, when it comes to the United States in particular, they are preparing for the possible eventuality that we go to war over Taiwan. That is not an opinion, that's a fact. Now, it's not a fact that we will go to war over Taiwan. We don't know. But it's a fact that they're preparing for that possibility. And there's no part of the existence, the society of the United States that China's not willing to interfere with in order to prepare for that. So when FBI Director Wray came out a couple of weeks ago and said, we found dormant malware in shipping cranes in Maryland that China had placed there, and they did all their forensics, China had placed there 5 years ago, just waiting for the day that some coding knucklehead over in Beijing can press a button and now has control over the shipping containers in that specific port in Maryland. Why would they ever need to do that? Well, because if they ever went to war with the United States, they would want to be able to affect our sustainment ability to supply our troops overseas and supply.
So that's it. Any of y'all that got TikTok, you got the malware. I got the malware. Everybody got the malware, man. They know everything. You go wash your ass. They know that you washing your ass. Salutes. What y'all arguing about in here? Shout out Freddie Lopez. Shout out, nice chat, but I need to feed my tiger before he eats somebody. Just feed him your enemies. Salutes. Have a good night. Appreciate you.
By the Navy if we're outside of Taiwan. And we do that out of our ports, right? Mm-hmm. So TikTok is just part of that. It's not only a platform where they could potentially influence the American public through the platform, which is a whole nother aspect, but they now have the location of all of the phones that have ever touched the TikTok backbone. If you look in the terms of service, that every single device that connects to your home router is now in the purview of the servers in TikTok back in China. So when your friends come over and they log into the Wi-Fi at your house, now China has that person's information, their operating system number, their MAC IDs, their IMEIs,
That's it. We got
IMSI numbers. They have all of that. And it's just going back into a big data system. And so you could imagine what a foreign adversary would want to do with.
Think about that. You've gotten on your Wi-Fi. If your friend's gotten on your Wi-Fi, in the terms of service, they don't need to have ever had TikTok. But now, boom, they're on record. It's crazy. Just being on your network. That's It's all corrupted. Shout out Vernon Himes. Good live. Got to get up early. Peace, Shy, and chat. Salutes to you. But let's say we done with Shy. What happened, man? What'd I do? Metro runs the now deadliest cartel that has, in 5 years, achieved what it took Sinaloa 30 plus years to accomplish. You can believe that 10%. You can only believe 10% of what China says. I bet. So I talk about Edward Snowden. You got to spell his name right if you want me to talk about him. Pure art. Salutes.
The data of every single device that's ever touched its server, every router that's ever touched its server, imagine what a foreign ad.
China makes bomb ass food. They make it better here, probably. Corruption to the fullest. That's it. You got TikTok on your phone. You connect it to your network. Now everybody connected to your network is tracked by the same tracking shit that tracks your TikTok. It's crazy.
Adversary would want to do with the data of every single device that's ever touched its server, every router that's ever touched its server, every iPad, every Mac, whatever it is, and what they could potentially do with that. Now, again, in the day-to-day, I'm just videotaping myself outside. Yeah, you don't think about those kind of things. But that's the stuff that's happening. I'll give you a political example, too, a balanced political answer. So a couple of months ago, before Congress had decided to have put on the floor the potential to remove or force TikTok to sell, right, in order for them to continue in the United States, which happened, I think it's 2 months ago now or something. In order for a bill to hit the floor, you got to go through committee first. And so what they did was they brought 25 Republicans and 25 Democrats in, and they were going to vote as to whether the bill to force TikTok to sell should even go to the floor. But before they asked the 25, this is in the House, not in the Senate, in the House, the 25 and 25, they showed them a classified briefing. So they brought him into the skiff, what they call in the skiff, showed him what they showed him, and they said, okay, go out now and vote. Every single one of those 50 people decided to put the bill on the floor to force TikTok to sell. Now, they can't tell you why, clearly, because they went into a classified briefing. But in an environment like the United States today, where we can't agree on anything, when you get 25 House members that are Republicans and Democrats that all agree 100% this has got to go to the floor, there's something that's happening, right?
Now, the difference between that and like a Meta, which gets your data too, is it's staying with someone that lives in the U.S. that's the owner.
Yep.
So they don't look at that as a threat.
Correct.
Is that what the difference is?
Yep.
Okay.
So, people, again, will say things like, well, Facebook takes or Meta takes as much data. Google takes all the same data that TikTok does. First, they don't. So if you read the terms of service between TikTok, Meta, and Google, just as the big companies, right? The terms of service are different. Read them yourself. But for argument's sake, let's say that it was true and that Facebook wants to know who your all the devices that are connecting to your router and all those things. The purpose of those two companies to exist is to make money. There's no argument there, right? And so Google wants you to be on your phone. Facebook wants you to be on your phone. They want you to be searching, doing all the things that you would do on your phone. So your phone would always, their priority would be to keep the phone working, keep it in your hands, and keep you doing all the things you want to do on your phone. That's not going to be the same thing for TikTok.
Yeah.
So do you think that, giving a hypothetical, the day that we potentially go to war with China, that China wants everybody to just stay on their phone to buy more ads and make more money? That's not the purpose of that. So could China, could they potentially remove access to your phone if they had enough information about it? Could they potentially send malware into home routers in the United States, like they put routers inside of shipping containers, cranes in the port of Maryland? Could they do that? Potentially, sure they could. So, would they want to do that if we're at war? Of course they would. So, is Meta and Google going to do that? No, they just want They just want to make more money.
No, do you think it comes down to one of those things where you were talking about wiretaps where you have to exhaust all remedies? Like there can't be any other remedy besides banning the app completely? Because I'm looking at it from like my perspective is like TikTok changed my life. Like
of course.
Everything I have now is because of TikTok. That was my starter base. brought me so much of an audience that these other sites
look
didn't
like
do, and I
somebody's
make
Aunt
money from
Margaret and shit.
TikTok.
Yep.
So from a creator standpoint, and I feel like a lot of the people in my position feel the same way, if there's some type of remedy to kind of meet in the middle.
Yeah, and which I would advocate for, right? And I totally understand the value of the company. You know, it's almost ironic in a way because China, the CCP did a pretty good job doing what they wanted to do. They created a company that they wanted to gather as much data as they could, and they did because the company became so popular and so many people used it that it worked, right? I guess is the best way to say it. So
It's just the proof that you can't put us off poison. If it tastes good enough, if it smells good enough, if it looks good enough, we're gonna take that shit. And that's what it was with the TikTok, man. They made a company that was, they made an app that was extremely, you know, a good time for kids and families alike, and it blew up so big. It's like they put the poison in the food, man. And we all go for it. We'll all go for the Kool-Aid. Not all of us, but a lot of us. The CIA groomed Zuckerberg, dudes that pay government shield. It's a robot. Weirdo and a half. Salutes Perfecto J77 on the check-in. That wall will never be finished.
and again, I advocate for finding a way to allow people to still use the platform and succeed and do great things like yourself. And I'm not desirous of removing TikTok, you know, for no other reason, just to do it, right? But I do care about the American people, and I do care about what foreign adversaries are trying to do, and I can't separate those two things. And so I actually think Congress did a pretty good job of coming up with a plan that said, okay, prove that you're not doing these things by just selling the company and forcing all of the servers to not be inside of China or not have any connection to China. Sever yourself from ByteDance and maybe base all of your servers in Germany and Britain and France, where we have better relationships, who we can make the assumption we're not going to go to war with. And you can continue to operate in the United States, and everybody can continue to use it, and it's all good. Well, the problem is it's not going to happen because this is just my opinion. We'll see what happens, right? I can't predict the future, but my guess is it's not going to happen. TikTok is going to fight it, and they're going to say this is unconstitutional. I have a First Amendment right, which that's not even true. No one's blocking anybody's First Amendment right to speak. There are plenty of platforms that you can speak on. It's just they're saying you can't use a specific platform. It's like saying in the Second Amendment world, it's like saying, well, you can't block my ability to have a tank. Yes, I can. You can have a gun, but I'm not telling you can't have guns. I'm telling you can't have a tank. It's kind of the same way with TikTok. I'm not telling you can't be online. I'm just telling you can't use this one because people are using it for bad reasons, right? But China's not going to give up a fight, so they're going to use the First Amendment argument. They're going to put it through the courts and whatever.
China's up to some shit,
and
boy.
again, it's not because they're looking to make any money off of it, even though that's a side hustle in a sense. It's because they want access to all the information. And the problem is for them in this moment, again, from a foreign affairs perspective, is if we don't, if China loses access to ByteDance and the data that goes through there, and today, let's say, and we go to war in 3 years, well, now all the data's old. Everybody's got new phones. Everybody's bought new routers, and they don't have the live, real data that they have now to do something with if they wanted to do something with it. So they're not going to give it up. They're just not going to. So what does that mean for TikTok in the U.S.? I don't know.
Yeah, I wonder what the final outcome's going to be.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting.
Yeah.
But I can, I'm not speaking with any special information. I'm just, based on my opinion. But I think with what we know about TikTok, that the national security concerns are probably going to outweigh the financial and economic benefit that people have here. And will the government step in to maybe help in some way, like give loans so they can find other platforms because they want? Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I mean, I'm not an expert in that world.
Well, it's also, this is very fixable.
I don't know if Vicente's a little too high on the beach. I don't know if you're talking to me. He said, back to topic, Mexico and China cartel connections. First of all, this is part of that. Secondly, you might not be high enough and might need to smoke yourself another blunt. Salutes to you. I fuck with you. Don't you rush me. Salutes. All right, hit the subscribe, hit the like, hit something around this motherfucker. But this is part of that. This is part of that. Because it's like they got their hands in a lot of shit. You know? It's all connected. It's all connected.
Facebook and Meta just have to adjust their pay because it was so high when they first started to compete with TikTok, and it just flattened.
Yeah.
So maybe that'll help if, say, TikTok closes down, more ad revenue can be spent on Meta. They can up creators' pay.
Sure.
Because it's not like it doesn't exist.
Right.
What's on TikTok, especially those with large platforms. Will it be harder if you're just starting out? Absolutely. But the people that already have huge platforms usually have something on these other ones that they can post content. It's just a question of, will Meta step up and pay the creators more, a livable wage?
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's what it comes down to.
I hear you. I agree.
Yeah.
You know?
But John, thank you so much, man. Today was an incredible conversation. Shout out to White George.
Shit, China got their hands in everything, boy. Apps, traps, everything. Got their hands in everything. They wildin'. See what else I got here. This is mad long, but I would like to get into this another day, so I'm gonna keep that in the content suggestions. This ProPublica, it is kind of long. But I would like to get into that. We'll do that sometime next week. The article I sent you was about how the cartels in China started laundering money. Yeah, we're gonna stay on this China trip. Again, we're gonna look deeper into this. This is gonna be an ongoing topic because I don't see that going anywhere anytime soon. As far as I'm concerned, they in cahoots. Everybody's trying to get. It looks like a good article. I want to get into it. We're gonna do that another day. Salutes. Wow, Chinese boy. Yeah, the Chinese getting farms, U.S. real estate, all kind of stuff. All kind of stuff. All right, they're gonna own half of the avocado too, pretty soon. Salutes to y'all though. All right, salutes to y'all. I'm gonna be trying to put out some shorts this week, shorts content, and I'll be putting out the Don Alejo edited version for those that didn't catch that live stream. That want to see the Don Alejo story, I'll be dropping that soon. Again, we got the Miriam Rodriguez story. It's already out there. Make sure you guys, if you haven't watched it, please go watch it. She's a special lady. She deserves to be known. As a matter of fact, I'm about to link y'all to it right now. And here it is. I'm sure a bunch of y'all haven't seen everything we have to offer on this channel, so please go take a look at that stuff. Alright, but here's the story of Miriam Rodriguez, the lady who went against the cartel. Right? Make sure you check that out. They assured 100% of the money sent was going to make Mexico clean. Who did? China? We ain't cover how China used one of their own to give Mexico and the U.S. the finger. Who? That dude that's in the article? You guys, are you talking about shit I have no clue about right now? Alright, but I'll get to it next time. Salutes. Again, it was an impromptu live, but it went down. Again, happy birthday to my brother Old Soul. Salutes to the usual suspects for being in the building. I appreciate you guys. Salutes Jonathan Pantoja. Salutes Adrian. Salutes Freddie Lopez. Salutes JFL. Chucky Chingon. Eddie Jimenez. Velez 408. Salutes to you. Mahmoud. Salutes. Sally Correa. Salutes to you. Manalia. Salutes to you. Appreciate y'all. Shout out Jonathan with the info receipts. Salute Sabino on the check-in. Albert Flores, I appreciate you for helping move the content forward. Velez as well to you. Thank you for helping move the content forward with links. Appreciate it. Salute Zoraida. Alright, don't work too hard. JFL, I'll see you on the island. Let's see. Shout out Yael. Yael was in the building. Salutes to you. Vernon Himes was in the building. Appreciation. Pure Art, I appreciate you. Vicente, I appreciate you. What else was in here? Eddie Jimenez, salutes. Gang Yael, salutes. Man. Vernon Himes. Gordo Gordito popped in, salutes. You can only believe 10% of what China says. All right. No need to risk it crossing it through car. Salute Shia. I appreciate you, sir. Chinese need to take over the Chinese buffet kitchens. Mexican got that on lockdown. Facts. That was a hostile takeover. And I'm with it. Salutes to you, Adrian. I appreciate you. Salutes, Velez. Pure Art. Zoraida. Adrian, JFL. Salutes to you. Happy birthday, Oso. Thanks for the content side. Salutes to you, Vicente. I appreciate you. Jonathan says, salute, Shael, my dude. Thank you for another great day of content. Shout out to Oso, the OG ranch holder. Salutes, chat, and El Cartel members. Let's get it popping in the Discord, all right? We'll see y'all there. Y'all have a good night. We're going to go out the same way we came in. All right? Be aware of these the Chinese. They're creeping. All right? Shout out Perfecto J777. The Chinese is creeping. All right? I'm going to play one song, and we're going to get out of here with Restlessness. Salutes.
Hanging from a thread till you dead, cause your partner put a price on your head. Cause your chick was laying up in his bed, she getting details, spilling every word that you said. She working retail, thirsty bitches trying to get ahead. If history tell us anything, y'all both end up dead. It's just a street tale, a fable, some shit someone said. Sit at the table and hope there's more to offer than bread. Pulled out the cradle, first steps you getting chased by a fed. No head starts, just body parts and lead sparks. Old religion, brand new hate and weak hearts. Oligarchs, krakens, dragons, you see sharks. Imagine you could manage to maneuver the deep part. You a savage, you can have it, just show all your teeth sharp. If you could grab it, you could stab it, just aim for the bleeding heart. The ones that show compassion, the soldier that seeks art. Does the artist that wage war take over or take part? Taking a knee, thinking no one faithful is me. I'm good people in bad lands, no evil live within me. I mind mine, I'll survive, find this land's for the free. If I'm mistaken, I'm forsaken, no one rescuing me. Residual effects, stray bullets through familiar necks. For any number of infractions that I deem disrespect. Your beliefs, you deserve better, but we both in the shit. You just haven't come to grips with it yet. Fight or flight, and they ain't really nowhere to go. If your back is against the wall and you ain't throwing no blows, you gon' crumble in the rubble, become blood in the snow. If you a victim, they collect them, grab the body and go. Dig them and ditch them, total disregard for the soul. Gas them and lit them, watch the flesh burn in the glow. Where we live and catch a shivering, it's a hell you don't know. Your best hope is that your dying ain't slow, or your dying's a show. Where we at, it's every man for his own. A bloody backdrop, where killers just zone and slice flesh to the bone. Masked and gloved up front of your home. A flash of gun, but the side of your dome. Fresh blood from a stone, dents in your sense. Kick your fucking ball through the fence, dare you to say something. No sense in sitting around in suspense. Find out what's next, open your fucking mouth, disrespect. See the extent of how my life is intense. She beautiful and oppressed in a permanent summer dress. She a servant and still she blessed. Children cradled against her breast, whispering prayers, wishing their souls the best, knowing that they forgotten, not forgetting they're blessed. The bloodiest red lights, just piles of dead life. Something must be broken, the glyphs wasn't read right. You think them Bible papers would shed light? Yeah, right. Burn after reading, tell the preacher I'm leaving.